Hello and welcome to the video. Today's video is about understanding threes rotations in Rocket League. Now, caveat warning already, but I'm not an official Rocket League coach, merely someone who's played the game for a while and has got to a decent rank. I have had some coaching and will be using my knowledge from that along with experience from playing the game to explain my understanding of basic threes rotations in Rocket League. If you disagree with anything mentioned in this video, then that's absolutely fine. I understand this may not be perfect or even close to that, however I do think it can still be helpful, and besides, I've already made the video and you're watching it, so tough. The video is going to be broken down into offensive and defensive rotations to try and ensure it's as clear and understandable as possible, although I am aware that rotations are a full pitch thing. To try and keep things simple for the video, let's define offensive rotations as those happening when your team has possession of the ball, and defensive rotations as those happening when the opponents have the possession of the ball. Throughout this video there will be references to three roles often called the first, second and third player, man or position. These roles will be explained in more detail as the video progresses, but in basic terms the first player should be the one pressuring the ball, the second should be supporting the first and waiting to react after their play, and the third should be covering the goal and ensuring no goal is conceded. With that in mind, let's begin. Let's start with offensive rotations. As previously mentioned, there are three roles involved in offensive rotations, the first, second and third player. We'll start by breaking these roles down into more detail than showing how they should properly work in a rotation. In its simplest form, the first player in the rotation should be the one challenging the ball or making a play. They can afford to be super aggressive as they've got cover behind them. Once they've made their play or challenge, they should begin to rotate back to the third man position. It's important that no player cuts rotation, as this could throw off the whole team's rotation and cause a bunch of problems that lead to a goal. The job of the second player is to support the first by giving them an option for a pass or following up on their touch. As you approach the opponent's third, the second player should position themselves in the penalty box area, making sure they don't get too close to the goalkeeper or stay too far away that they wouldn't be able to get to a potentially centred ball. Remember, even if it looks unlikely that the ball will get centred, it's important to be in a good position as there's always a chance the ball could get to you. If it doesn't reach the second player, they must make sure they fully rotate out. It might be tempting to follow the ball into either corner and attempt to play or a centre, but this is the wrong decision. Unless there is a very high chance of a goal, the player should avoid cutting rotation and instead leave the ball and stay in the middle or rotate to the third position, situationally depending of course. The reason for this is, you're the second man position, you're in the middle of the field waiting to receive a pass. If you go out to the corner to challenge the ball, even if you win it, there's not going to be anyone in the middle. You're better off staying there or rotating out and allowing the third player who's in a good position and will have momentum to create a play. The third player's role is very important as they will always be the last one back and therefore the last line of defence. They need to position themselves close enough to follow up on an open net and finish off the play, but not so close that the ball can get boomed over their head. It's a fairly common mistake for players in this position to play too aggressively, overcommit and concede goals. For me, when I found myself in this position, I try to remember that my priority is to ensure that the team does not concede a goal rather than scoring one myself. Of course, the third player should still get involved in the attack and support, but not at the expense of a solid defence. Ultimately, if you never concede, you can never lose. The third player will traditionally follow up on a clearance from the opponents, they'll become the first man and continue the attack before rotating out into the second or third man role. Now let's cover defensive rotations and transitions into offense. Starting with defensive rotations, it's fairly straightforward. Once again, we need to remember the first, second and third position and apply that to defense. Usually the first player will be the one challenging the ball, with the second waiting at the near post ready to react to any hit. The third will be waiting behind the back post ready to go onto the backboard, challenge a high ball or make a save if needed. Once the first player has challenged the ball, they should fully rotate to the back post, taking a route that does not block the rest of the team, but does allow for the opportunity to intercept opponents' passes. The second player should then challenge the ball, the third moves to the front post, and the previous first player rotates to the back post. One bit of advice is to remember that if your teammate is overcommitted or is otherwise out of the play, you essentially have to use twos rotations, where you have a first and a third player and no second man, with the aim of the first to challenge and the third to stall and wait for support. This might sound obvious, but often players will continue to rotate as if they have three players, and it will result in gaps opening in the defence and goals being conceded. One final general bit of advice would just be to prioritise positioning over boost. It might be tempting to go out your way to get boost, but it's more important to be in the right position even on low boost and have a chance of making a play. If you win the ball in your half, you can start a transition into offense. Usually the player on the ball will be the first player, with the second staying in a position to support and follow on their touch. The third will provide cover for the goal and support the offense when necessary. Once again, I'll show an example and hopefully this will make things clear. For me, the most important role in a transition is that of the second player. If you find yourself in this role during a transition, a good bit of advice is, if the first player is moving slowly with the ball or will likely struggle to make a play, stay close to them so that you can react. However, if the transition picks up speed, you can expand the distance between you and the first player and allow more space for a play to succeed. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope that was clear and I hope that's helped. Please let me know in the comments down below if you enjoy this sort of video. I personally really enjoy making them. I also want to take this opportunity just to apologise for the lack of uploads recently. I won't go into too much detail, but I've had a lot of stuff going on in my life and with family, so I've not necessarily felt like uploading, but I'm going to try and get back on it now. I won't make any promises because it's still ongoing, but hopefully we should get back to where we were. Thank you very much for watching and have a lovely day.
And the summer's old, this still feels so right.